Hello Math 152 students. In this video we'll look at the resources you need to get started with Chapter 3. The first place I want to go is to the Course Content tab on Blackboard. You will note that the optional PowerPoints folder already has the PowerPoint file for Chapter 3. I want to look at that with you for a moment because the PowerPoint tells you how to do everything by hand. And one of the differences between my recommendations and the PowerPoints is to start utilizing StatCrunch where you can. We'll talk about some different options. So let's go ahead and look at our PowerPoint. Here I'm in the middle of my slides, but for example, this one is actually 3.3, and they give examples of how to calculate population mean and sample mean for grouped data, which is the main skill in 3.3. And they go through an example, and they show you how to do all of these calculations by hand, which will look a little bit scarier than they are. They go through and calculate how to do these midpoints and multiplications. But this particular example, if I were doing it in the homework, I would say, hey, understand what's going on, and then utilize StatCrunch. So as you're reading through this, if you're going, wow, this is a lot of work by hand, you need to simultaneously be looking at your StatCrunch options and learning how to do the same procedures with StatCrunch. This is true in 3.1 and 3.2 when we're looking at mean, median, mode, standard deviation. Those are things we'll utilize StatCrunch to calculate, particularly for large data sets. But it's also true in 3.3. There's not a lot of StatCrunch usage in 3.4, but then we'll also use StatCrunch in 3.5 to do box plots. So you'll notice that in the PowerPoints, they go through the steps to do a box plot by hand, which is useful in understanding the components of a box plot. But then it's also important that we can generate those box plots on StatCrunch. So let's go ahead, and I want to take us back into the ebook so that we can take a look at how to navigate some of these sections. Right now I'm actually in section 3.3. Notice this is page 141. And again, you have the videos that go over how to do or how to think about some of these formulas. But what I want to point out in 3.3 is, let's see, actually I'm back up a little bit here and scroll. You have those example videos that show you how to do it by hand, but I've actually created a supplementary video on how to do this problem with StatCrunch. The by hand directions are in your book. They go over them, but then remember at the end of each section you have that step-by-step technology section which shows you how to do it on StatCrunch. And sometimes as you're going through the examples, you'll notice multiple videos, one showing you how to do it by hand, one showing you how to do it on StatCrunch, another maybe showing you how to do it on the graphing calculator. In particular, this happens some in 3.2. So let's just take a look at an example of that. What I mean by that. So like on this example, they have several different videos by hand, StatCrunch, and then the calculator. So as you're working through the slides, if you're choosing that option, make sure you're also checking out the embedded videos in your ebook. My main advice for Chapter 3 is to think about how to utilize those resources. The by hand formulas give us an idea of what's going on, but in practice, StatCrunch is much more efficient. So make sure you remember that you will be able to use StatCrunch on the midterm. So if you're feeling stuck going through the slides, this might be a good chapter to transition to the embedded videos on the ebook, just to make your actual process of working the problems a little bit easier. So I wanted to point that out because that will be important for you in 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3 in particular. You do have some StatCrunch in 3.5 with those box plots as well. So one more thing I want to show you is making sure you see where to click for StatCrunch in your online homework. So let's go ahead and go back to Blackboard, and I'm going to open up Chapter 3 homework. And you probably already saw the option of how to open a data set in StatCrunch for Chapter 2. But you didn't have as many problems in Chapter 2 where you really needed to utilize it. So again, here it's bringing up this user agreement. You probably won't see that. And I'm going to click on the Chapter 3 homework. I know this window is cutting off a little bit for you guys. Alright guys, I skipped ahead a little bit to actually opening up a homework problem and readjusted that window. So this is actually number 23 or 3.2.17. And if you look at the little table here, this icon allows you to open the dataset in StatCrunch. So in this example, we have 2 columns of data that we'll see in StatCrunch, and we can do things like calculating range, mean, median, mode, standard deviation, utilizing our StatCrunch. So again, mine is being a little bit slow here, but choose this option to open in StatCrunch and then work with the data there. All right, guys, so that's it to get us started. I will see you guys in the Chapter 3 discussion boards.